Yeah, Coco.
Hi, welcome to my eclectic channel. My name is Agnès and I make videos for fun. We've been working on one of those little numbers. We are done modifying our pattern pieces and are ready to cut our fashion fabric. I've cut all my fabric. Piece-wise, this is a simple pattern. Assembly is not going to be easy, but it's only 3 pieces and each has 2 of the fabric, 2 of lining. There's one more piece to the pattern in case you're trying it, and that is something to make the pocket welt. I did not know what a pocket welt was, so I researched it, and the model that I'm using has welt pockets, so I'm going to make welt pockets, just not using this. We'll deal with pockets later. So I'm going to do some prep work before I start assembling anything, and that is I'm going to overlock every single piece I have. So that's 4 plus 4, so 12 of them, just overlock all around so I don't have any more of that fraying going on. I have overlocked all of my pieces. Look at how beautiful that is. The lining presents special challenges because it's a light fabric, and the usual problem I have with my overlock stitching is that it pulls in the edges, it curls the fabric, it pulls on the fabric. So there's 2 things here. If you have a bit of experience with sewing, you know that you need to take a piece of scrap of your fabric and run it through your machine to test for tension and thread and kind of how it behaves. So I did turn my tension all the way down to 0 so it doesn't pull on the fabric as much. And as I was feeding it through, I left a very narrow margin. When you do an overlock, the needle goes back and forth, and I ran it so that the very edge of the fabric was getting caught. So that worked well. So there's no more fraying going on. Another thing I did was to mark my darts. This vest having princess seams, there are very few darts. Actually, there's just 2 in the back. So my back pieces, both for the fabric and the lining, are going to get darts. So I marked the darts and I pressed where the dart goes. So the next step is going to be to stitch the darts, both for the shell and for the lining. I've pressed my darts. So finally, we're starting putting the pieces together. So essentially, I'm going to be assembling 2 vests, one done with the lining and one done with the external fabric. And we're going to work our way from the center back seam outward. So center back seams, side seams, and then princess seams. Hi, this is Agnès from the future. A small change of plan here in case you're sewing along. The side seams on the vest, both on the lining and on the shell, will need to be undone for a later step. It's nice to have them stitched for fittings. So what I would do is I would do them with a based stitching at this point. At this point you could just sew the shoulders. It's just that if they're left undone, it makes the manipulations a tad bit easier, but I would say that's incremental. So if you want to sew the shoulders at this stage, go for it. I'm doing all my pinning before I go to the machine, so I don't have to set up back and forth. So I've pinned the center back, and these are the pieces, the side of the front. So I'm putting right sides, and I'm going to pin the side seams. So this is coming together. The next thing to do, and that's going to be on each side, we want to do the princess seams in the front. So I want to put these right sides together though, so let me turn this around. So amazingly, yes, this straight side here needs to be pinned to this curvy side. All pinned, both lining and shell. Let me take that to my machine. The seam allowance on this pattern is 1/2 inch. And I did experiment on a swatch to find what the best tension was, and on the lining I find that I need quite a high tension. I'm on 8 out of 9. All of my seams flat, and this is the lining. So essentially now I have 2 jackets, one made out of lining and one made out of the shell, and you would think I'm almost done, but ooh, far from it. So first there's one thing I want to do on the lining before I go any further, and that is I want to add fusible interfacing right where the buttonholes are going to go. So that means I need to figure out where the buttonholes go. First of all, I had to think about which way my lining was going to be. And I got it wrong at first. At first I turned it right side out. But that is not how I'm going to wear the jacket. The jacket is going to be worn with the lining like this. Because if I open it, this will be the inside of my jacket. So that this is where the right side goes. And all of this here with the seams, I don't want to call them ugly because they're not. I did a really good job with my seams, but they will be hidden because on top of that they will be the top layer. So here I have it as I will wear it. Now I need to figure out on which side the buttons goes and which side the buttonholes go. So here I'm very partial to feminine wear. I've never done it any other way. So here's one of my cardigans, and you can clearly see the buttonholes are on this side. So this is where I need them. All right. So now I know my buttonholes are going to go on this side. Another thing I've done off camera is I pinned at the shoulders because I haven't sewn that yet. So I pinned the shoulders and I did a fitting, and I looked at the picture and I determined where my top button would be, where my lower button would be. And I went a little past that. This does not have to be exact. You just want the interfacing to cover the entire length, the entire area where there will be buttons. So I'm going to be putting a band of interfacing from this pin up to this pin. And one more thing about this. I realized this for some time, but I still went ahead. I think I still have a remnant of that like blazer type color on this jacket. I feel like this should have been cut more straight, but I'm not sure, so I left it. Because if you have too much fabric, you can always trim it. If you cut something you were not supposed to cut, well, you're back to the drawing board and doing it with a new piece of fabric. So anyway, this might get trimmed at some point and re-overlocked, which is completely fine. So, but for now, what I've done to guide me in putting my interfacing, I've drawn some lines with chalk as to where the buttonholes are going to go. So I have a full rectangle here, and I know where to put my band of interfacing. And one more detail, kind of obvious, the interfacing is going to go on the wrong side of the lining. That way it'll be hidden once the jacket is finished. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more.